Hi, everyone. I'm Len Pace, the college chaplain at Oxford College. It's good to see you. Well, I don't actually see you, but I'm just trusting that you are out in webinar land. Welcome to this cooking demo with Farhan Momin. I want to give lots of props and thanks to our Oxford Together committee who has pulled this cooking demo together for us today. And I'm especially grateful to two folks on the call with me, Tammy Camfield and Mika Vines-Culbreth, for assisting with this today. Mika, I'll have a few things to share with you regarding the chat box and what that's for here and the Q&A box. We're really in a webinar format, so we want to give you some tips on that. And both Mika and Tammy are going to have some things to share with you about Farhan and about his family's restaurant and those sorts of things. I get the great pleasure and privilege of introducing to you Mr. Farhan Momin. Farhan is an Oxford College graduate and someone I had the pleasure of working with when he was the leader of the Muslim Student Association when he was a student. He's a 2013 Oxford grad and a 2015 grad from Atlanta. Farhan has been cooking since around the age of 6 years old when he was helping, I think he said to me, his mom in the kitchen. And he's kept cooking ever since. Yeah, he kept that cooking alive when he was a student at Oxford College, perhaps both legally and illegally in his residence hall. Right, Farhan?
Yeah, definitely sometimes illegal cooking happening.
Yes, we're glad he did. We want to keep students' passions and talents going when they are on campus. But he also discovered his passion for dentistry and before that chemistry. So Farhan, when he graduated from Emory University, went to dental school in Chicago. Dental school took maybe a little longer than Farhan first thought it would, and that is because he landed himself on Master Chef season 9 with Gordon Ramsay, Aaron Sanchez, and Joe, whose last name is escaping me at the moment. But Farhan was mentored by Aaron Sanchez on Master Chef season 9, and my family and I just finished watching that season, and we highly recommend it. You can actually watch it for quite some time. I won't give it all away as Farhan goes pretty far in the season. So we hope you'll take a look at that. We're glad, Farhan, that you pursued your dentistry dreams, but we're also glad that you have continued to pursue your cooking dreams. And we see that showing up now as you're part of the Brown in the South series, but also on a new documentary that's been airing on PBS just recently called South Somewhere with Vivian Howard. Farhan is featured in 2 episodes, episode 4 and 5, and you can look those up, PBS, and see him talking about his love of cooking. And I watched some yesterday, so it was fun to see you that as well, Farhan. Farhan's family owns Atlanta Halal Meat and Food restaurant business up in Sewanee. And actually, a lot of the halal meat, or all of the halal meat that is provided at Emory University and Oxford College that we eat in our dining hall is provided out of this business. So it's wonderful to have this connection to you in that way as well. Farhan, we couldn't be more delighted to have you join us today to see our alums in action in this way and contributing to our community while we're having to social distance just like you are. We're grateful to you. I wish you a Ramadan Mubarak, and we're even grateful especially as you're celebrating Ramadan and agreeing to cook for us on this evening. So I'm going to turn it over to Mika, who's going to give us a few tips on the chat Q&A, and then she'll turn it over to you, Farhan.
Great. Thanks so much, Len.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'll keep it short and sweet. Just a few simple rules before we turn it over to Farhan. So if you could please use the Q&A icon at the bottom for your questions or comments for Farhan. I will read them to him and he will answer them. Once he pops the chicken in the oven, he'll have a little bit of a lull. We can use that time primarily for questions and to kind of interact with him. And if you have technical difficulties or something you want to share with us privately, you can use the chat. All right, so on that note, let's get cooking. Farhan, you got it.
All right, cool. Well, hey, first of all, thank you guys so much for inviting me out to do this. Again, it's really great to kind of give back to the school that's given me so much. So it's really tremendous. So thank you guys so much. Lynn, thanks so much for the great, introduction. I didn't realize I'd done so much in such a short period of time. So I really appreciate that. So today we're gonna be making a jalapeno cilantro chicken. I guess the technical term for it is we call it malai boti. That's kind of what we know it as. I just wanted to give it something, the two main flavors are cilantro and jalapeno. So this is something that, we eat in the house, we sell it at the restaurant, and it's a really simple recipe, which is why I wanted to do it for you guys, because most of the ingredients you guys can find at the house already, or, you guys can really, do some simple searching and find what you need. And that was kind of the whole name of the game here. It's simple flavors, a little bit of technique, and then you end up with a really nice result. So we'll start with the marinade first. And what we have here, again, if you guys have the recipe list, it's literally like 6 ingredients. So these are some cashews, right? And what I've done is I've soaked these cashews overnight, or actually not even overnight. Earlier today, I put them in some hot water just to soften up. So that's what that is right here. We have 1 bunch of cilantro. We have a couple jalapenos, okay? And I'll show you guys a trick here. If you guys don't like spicy food, I'll show you guys a quick trick to show you guys how to make this not spicy. A lime, got some garlic over here. And again, I peeled these earlier. You guys can peel it fresh. Doesn't matter too much. And then what we can do is, these are the spices that we're gonna be using. So it's black pepper, so 1 teaspoon black pepper, 1 teaspoon cumin, and then 1 teaspoon coriander. And these are all whole spices. Again, if you guys can't get hands on whole spices, this recipe is easily, easily switched over to using ground spices, and it's not really a huge deal. Other than that, some salt to taste, and that's really it. And then I'm using chicken breast for my recipe, and I'll show you guys how I cook it because it's pretty easy. But what we want to do is, you can really use a fish. You guys can use bone-in chicken, and you can be really flexible with this recipe. You'll have to adjust how you cook it a little bit. I think with fish, you can cook it like I'm doing here, where you're gonna fillet it. If you wanna use bone-in chicken, that's fine. You just gotta change up how you cook it in the oven, and we can kind of go through that once we get to that stage. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is 1 bunch of cilantro, and all you're gonna do is just honestly just cut it in half. The big thing with cilantro though is you gotta make sure it's washed correctly. With the way cilantro is, it comes out of the ground. So if you don't wash it right, if you get 1 piece of rock or sand in it, it's gonna ruin your whole day. And then you might have to come see me at the dental office. So you definitely don't wanna be doing that. So we're gonna throw this in here. So, oh yeah, what you need also is
Start quick
yes.
question. Is cilantro the same as coriander? Question.
Yeah, so fun fact, coriander is a seed, right? So that's what this looks like right here. So that's coriander, the seed. Cilantro is the plant that grows from the seed. So you'll be using both in this recipe. So this is the plant that grows from the coriander seed, and then we'll be also using the whole spice as well.
Thank you.
And it's actually a really easy, plant to grow at home. My mom says it's bad luck to grow cilantro at home. So, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. I don't know. And then the other thing you guys will need in terms of equipment is just a bullet blender. So I'm using this one right here. It's the one that we had at the house. You don't have to use anything fancy. You can also just use a regular blender. I just like these because it's just, get 1 marinade's worth and you're kind of done. So throw the 1 bunch of cilantro in here. Next thing we want to do is prep our jalapenos, okay? So here's one way you can, let's say you don't do spicy, right? You want the flavor of the jalapeno, but you don't want to add the spice. So here's what you can do. You can take the top off, right? So that's done. And then you want to stand it up on its side. And basically you make sure you tuck your knuckles back, and you want to slice off the ends of the jalapeno. So you get the flesh of the jalapeno, but you don't get any of the white stuff or any of the seeds. What that does is the seeds and the pith, which is the white part, is where all the spiciness lies inside of peppers. So if you avoid it, you're able to kind of avoid the spice. So once you get one side sliced down, you can lay it flat, get another side, roll it over, get one more side. Yes.
So you have to use jalapenos?
No, you can use serranos. You can use, honestly, you can use poblanos, anything green. Honestly, you can even use habaneros if you want to be a little crazy. I do prefer a greener pepper. You can use Thai chilies, but again, use with discretion because whatever pepper you use, it's the spice levels modulate accordingly, right? Jalapeno is a great, easy one that you can use. You know, it's really easy to find. If you want to be spicier, use a serrano. If you want to be a little more mild, use a poblano, and you end up with a very similar result.
Okay. And while
So
you
I'm
do
gonna put,
that,
yeah,
so
go
I
ahead.
have an announcement for you. You have a special guest watching you, Liz
Oh
Lynn,
yeah,
season 10 of Master Chef. She wanted
no
you to
way.
know she's watching and she's a huge fan.
Oh yeah, hey, what's up? That's awesome. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do 2 with no flesh, and then I know the recipe says 2 jalapenos. You can, honestly, this is a really easy recipe to modulate how you want to. I'm gonna put in 3 today because I want a little more spice. There we go. I'm gonna cut this into 4.
Can you use parsley instead of cilantro?
Honestly, no, it's not a good substitute for this. Cilantro has a lot of flavor. Parsley won't give you that same robust flavor. If you just hate cilantro, I know those are people that are out there that don't do cilantro at all, then that's fine. I mean, if you really have to. But yeah, I mean, if you can't find cilantro or you need to use parsley in a pinch, you can, because a lot of the other flavors will still shine through. But cilantro just has its own flavor and it's really great. So what I want to do next is our garlic. So since I already peeled these earlier, I'm just gonna kind of throw them in, right? I think I said 4 or 5 cloves. All right. Lime juice. All right. So juice of 1 lime. So basically we're going to kind of build this out in parts. Obviously you guys can see the bullet blender is full, right? From with the cilantro. We're going to grind this down in one stage. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to blend it down a little bit. And then we're going to add our cashews and our whole spices. And that way you can kind of create this paste. And that's what this whole idea is. You want to create like a marinade paste with this. So there that goes. You want to be careful not to add too much water at this stage. So what I'm gonna do is, here's a little glass of water. I'm just gonna add a little bit of water in here just to kind of help blend everything up. Okay. We're gonna put a cap on it. I wish you guys could smell this right now. It smells crazy. Between the lime and the cilantro. Okay, so here's our little bullet blender. Make sure there's some water. I'm gonna start blending. Oh, need to plug it in, y'all. All right, there we go. Having technical difficulties with my blender. All right.
All right.
What's wrong with our
While
blender?
Farhan is blending, you all can pick up your phone and use this opportunity to follow him on Instagram at Farmo, F-A-R-M-O. I've been watching him and he's been doing a couple of recipes on his Instagram and his Instagram live. So make sure you follow him if you're on Instagram, Farmo, F-A-R-M-O.
All right, let's see if that works out. There we go.
Farhan, this is Lynn. What would have happened if you had a blender like that stop on Master Chef? That would have.
I probably would have went home a lot earlier. All right. Okay, here we go. All right, so here we go. You guys can see first round of blending is pretty much done. Okay, now we're gonna move on to kind of the second part. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is drain out these cashews. I think in the recipe card I said about 5 or 6 cashews. Just grab a handful. Honestly, again, with the cashews you can't really go wrong. The reason why, I know you're probably wondering why there's cashews inside of a chicken marinade, but basically it's gonna be, the reason is it adds a lot of, let's see, Can you guys hear me? Yeah, no, cool. So what I want to do is basically use this as a thickener, right? So the cashews add a lot of body to the marinade and it allows the marinade to stick to the chicken. The good thing about this is it's already kind of pasty. The cashews are just gonna add a little bit more oomph to that and allow the marinade to really stick to the chicken. And you end up with almost like a really thick marinade that sticks to the chicken well. And when you go through the grilling process, it turns out really nice. So we're gonna add our cashews in here. And these cashews I had at the house are kind of like broken up into pieces, so I just used a little bit more. But yeah, just grab a little handful and that's all you really need. Next, what you want to do is grab your spices, okay? So here's the spices we're using. So it's a teaspoon of whole black pepper, a teaspoon of whole cumin, and a teaspoon of whole coriander. So kind of what I said earlier, coriander is a seed plant of cilantro. So we're really getting multiple facets of cilantro, right? So you're getting the full plant, you're getting the seed aspect. Cumin's gonna add a little smokiness, and the black pepper adds a little heat plus a little spice in terms of just like that pepperiness that works really well with chicken and white meat proteins. So we're gonna go and toss that in there.
Or what if you have a nut allergy?
If you have a nut allergy, you can just leave the cashews out. You're not gonna, it makes a small difference, but it's not a huge difference. So if you can't find cashews, you don't feel like getting them, you can leave it out, you'll be perfectly fine. So the Malai in Malai chicken, which is, the name, it comes from cream, right? So typically people add heavy cream to this and marinate the chicken with that. I feel like the cashews kind of add that creaminess for me. And so I omit the dairy for the cashews. So if you again, add a splash of cream into this and adds that kind of, texture as well. And then what I did is add about a teaspoon of kosher salt to this. Again, it doesn't have to be kosher salt, but that's just what I like using. The reason why I like using kosher salt is, let's say, you want to add a pinch of salt to something. Kosher salt's like pinchable, so you can kind of grab it, whereas you can't really do that with table salt. So here we go. We're about to do our second round of blending. That tray over here. And by this point, the marinade is going to get really thick, okay? And if you need to add a splash more water, you can, but I'll kind of show you guys. You guys can shake it, mix it up, and you guys will be able to get a really nice thick paste out of this. All right, give it a little mix. So, with the bullet blender, it's really cool. You can just mix it up like this. Perfect. All right, y'all. And so that's really the marinade. Here it is. So once you open it up, you guys will see it's nice and smooth. It looks almost like a little sauce, right? So that's the marinade. We're gonna let that hang out for a second, and we're gonna prep the protein right now. So again, like I said earlier, I'm gonna be doing a chicken breast for this because I just like the way chicken tastes with this marinade. But it also tastes, I've had it with fish, it tastes really great. I've done it with bone-in chicken. It tastes really good as well. So you can't really go wrong as long as you just cook it properly, and that's the biggest thing. So what I'm gonna show you guys now is sort of a little bit technique. So my parents' butcher shop and restaurant, so it's a cafe plus a little butcher shop. So we have all the fresh meat available, and then we cut the fresh meat, and we also sell it as, take home to go foods as well. So the cool part about that is I've learned a lot of how to butcher meats and things like that. And so we're able to provide a really fresh product to all of our customers. And it's one of the things that, I really like about our concept is, really is farm to table. A lot of the animals get, we get deliveries multiple times a week, and that allows us to use the freshest products possible, whenever possible. So it's really awesome. So in this case, I got the meat from my dad earlier today. He just brought it home. So these are some chicken breasts. I'm gonna show you guys how to fillet them. And so this is a great technique. You don't even have to use it just for this recipe. This is how I basically did all my meal preps in college and in dental school. So I'll prep a bunch of chicken breasts, 2 different marinades, and then I'll leave it in the fridge. And then when I want to eat a piece, I'll just put it on the broiling rack, which I'm going to show you guys in a minute. Cook the chicken fresh every day. And it's almost like having grilled chicken fresh to order within 15 to 20 minutes. So it's a super simple technique that once you get down, you can get really nice results with it. And you end up with a lot of really fresh tasting chicken. And it's almost like it's been grilled fresh to order, even though it's not. So here we go. This is chicken breast. All you want to do is, this has already been cleaned for me. So if there is any fat, you guys can just trim that off, right? But basically what we're going to be doing is we're running our knife long ways this way. So we're getting thinner fillet. So you guys can see the thickness of the chicken breast it's pretty thick here, okay? So we're going to be thinning them out. So all you have to do is just run your knife, make sure you angle it correctly, not angled up. You want to remain parallel to the board so you guys can see. Remain parallel, because if you go up, you're going to slice your hand, and you don't want to do that, obviously. So there you go. So you end up with a nice thinner piece of chicken, and this cooks a lot faster. It cooks more evenly, and when you cook it faster and hotter, you're able to cook it all the way through a lot quicker, and it ends up being juicier as well. So it's a kind of a win-win. So out of this chicken breast, I should be able to get 3 pieces. So I'm going to cut through one more time, and I'll show you guys a little technique, because chicken breast is a little thinner down here, a little thicker at the top. What you can do is sort of do like a half fillet. So you guys can kind of come down, and then when you get to this part where it's thin, you don't want to thin it out too much, right? Because then you end up with dry chicken. You can actually angle your knife up and make sure your hands out of the way, and then boom. So you come up a little bit earlier, right, with angling your knife up, and you're able to do it. I'll show you guys one more time so you guys can kind of come up earlier. So then you end up with a thin piece of chicken, right, without thinning out this piece too much. So then you end up with a nice piece of chicken. It looks a little ugly, but it's fine. Chicken's chicken. So there's 3 there. I'm gonna show you guys. I have one more chicken breast here. So this is about 2.5 pounds of chicken, and that whole batch of marinade, I'll probably use about half.
Farhan, 2 questions for you. You kind of answered one a moment ago. How many chicken breasts can you make with that amount of marinade? That's the first question.
Yeah, so I would say with this whole amount of marinade, I'd say about 3 to 4 pounds of chicken. In this case, I have about 2, so I'm going to use about half of the marinade.
Okay.
And also, this is a good point. Once you guys blend up the sauce, taste it. I can't taste it right now because I'm fasting, but this is a good time to taste it. If it's too spicy, add a little bit more cilantro. Just buy 2 bunches of cilantro if you have some on hand. If it's too salty, again, add a little bit more cilantro. If it doesn't have enough salt, add more salt. If it's too much black pepper, add a little more cilantro. It's a very forgiving recipe because you can kind of tweak it as your flavor profile, whatever you guys like. So here's the situation where I still have a big piece of chicken, right? But I don't want to end up cutting that. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to do like a half fillet and cut the thick part away right here. So you end up with a little smaller piece of chicken, but it's fine because you'll be cooking all this on the broiler anyway. So it all cooks, if it's the same thickness, it all cooks around the same time, no matter how, wide the chicken is. So there's the last piece. Okay, and this is very important, guys. Go wash your hands. I'm gonna put all this in the sink. Cross-contamination is a real thing. Salmonella is real. Don't mess around with that. Okay, so I'm gonna take this to the sink.
All right. While you're washing it, Farhan, can you tell us what kind of cashews you're using? Are they roasted or raw?
They're raw cashews, but again, you can substitute roasted cashews as well if you'd like. It's really flexible again, so you can use either or. So if you have, roasted cashews, it's fine. And also you can substitute the nut as well. So let's say you don't have cashews, but you have almonds. Almonds work great in this dish. I wouldn't go as far as using peanuts. Peanuts have a very strong flavor. So I don't think peanuts would be a very good idea with this, but almonds and cashews, definitely you can swap out for one another. Let's just clean up a little bit here for y'all. Okay, so here we go. So that's our prep chicken, okay? And then we have our thing of marinade, okay? So this part's really technical, okay? And make sure you guys pay attention. You're gonna pour the marinade into the bowl. Got it? I know it's hard, but there we go. Ooh, all right. I know I went over your head a little bit there, but that's how simple this is. Okay, guys. So what I'm gonna do now is mix all this up. I'm gonna just do it with my hand. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Basically, you want to coat this marinade over all the layers of chicken. Okay. The best part about this is this is a great prep ahead dish. So let's say, you want to cook something for tomorrow. You at least want to let this marinate for 20 minutes, if not overnight, if not, a little bit longer than that. Overnight marinade is probably the best for this because it allows the flavors to kind of seep into the chicken. It gets nice and, comfortable in there, and the flavors kind of get a chance to meld together. And what I'm doing is right now is massaging the marinade into all the pieces of the chicken, making sure it's really getting into all the pieces here.
Farhan, can you talk about what kind of fish you could substitute with?
Oh yeah, for sure. So mahi would be amazing in this. Grouper would also be really great. Tilapia, I'm not a big fan of tilapia, but you can do tilapia. Catfish might be a little strong. I've never tried it with catfish, but you can definitely do it with catfish. Any sort of white fish would go really great in this. So actually, if you guys watched the season of MasterChef I was on, so I actually did a version of this marinade on one of the challenges, the halibut challenge. So I substituted the cilantro for some other herbs, and I made a really, and actually, I don't know if I won that one. I was close to winning that one, I think. That challenge based on the marinade I did, and then also using the same technique I did with broiling the meat. So I did it with fish. It turned out really great. So I was really happy with this because it's such a simple, light marinade. Okay, so there's the chicken. It's gonna hang out for a couple minutes, okay? Ideally, you wanna let it go for about half hour. We don't have time, obviously, on our Zoom, our meeting right now. But, for the sake of TV, we'll say it's been marinating overnight, okay? And I'll show you guys how I'm gonna broil it. So I'm gonna show you guys a broiling rig. We're gonna pop these in the oven, and I have a little treat for you guys. So 1 second, I'm gonna wash my hand again. All right, guys. So what I'm gonna show you guys is the broiling setup that I use here at the house. Typically, I use a sheet tray and then some sort of cooling rack. I don't have a cooling rack here at my parents' house, but what I'm gonna show you guys is I have a nice little substitute. So here it is. So basically, it's a little sheet, cookie sheet. I have a piece of foil underneath to catch any drippings, and it just makes cleanup easier. So then all you have to do is, throw the foil away, wash the pan, and you're done. Sit there and scrape anything off. And then this is actually just a little, we have a toaster oven. You can probably see it in the back over there. And I stole the little rack out of there, and I'm using that as a baking rack. You guys can pick up a baking rack. It's really cheap. It's like $10 on Amazon. I just haven't. I'm being lazy about it. But in college, I had one. And it works out really nice because it elevates the chicken off the surface of the tray and allows the chicken to get really nicely browned, okay? And then we're gonna cook this chicken on broil, which is gonna be cool. So basically what we're gonna do is, a broiler is basically a reverse oven. And so if you guys wanna tune in, if you guys look at this right here, I'm gonna take you guys to my broiler. Let's see. I don't know if I can change my camera angle. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I turn my broiler on so you guys can see right here. There's basically the heat of the oven. We're gonna be broiling on high because basically we're gonna be grilling this chicken inside our oven. So I'm gonna close that up. All right, so here's what we're gonna do now, okay? So we're gonna set up our chicken for broiling. So here's our setup, really simple. I'm gonna broil a couple pieces right now. I'm actually gonna marinate the rest so I can eat this for dinner tomorrow. So before you put it into the oven, you're gonna just add a touch of oil. I'm gonna just throw it into the marinade and just mix it up into the chicken. I'd say about a tablespoon, and you wanna mix it up as to help the chicken get brown. So, and then what you wanna do is lay the chicken out like this. So kind of flat on the rack.
Farhan, while you're doing that, I have two more questions for you. Perfect. What is your cooking recommendation for chicken thighs? Oven and then broil?
Yeah, so what you can do for chicken thighs or anything bone in, right? So chicken thighs are thicker. You can't really butterfly them like I did here. What I would recommend is still cooking them hot. So I would say maybe cooking them at 350 for about 15, 20 minutes. And the biggest thing is just check the internal temperature, right? So maybe, 15 minutes, or sorry, 20, 25, 30 minutes at 350. Also, this will be great if you guys have an air fryer. So air fryer is basically the same setup. So they have the internal rack, it goes down, and they have a hot heating element up top. So air fryer would be fantastic for this, especially for the chicken thighs, because it's nice and fatty, so it'll stay moist. So even with bone-in chicken, I'll do 350, 30, 35 minutes. Take the internal temperature. It should be around 165 degrees, and that's how you know your chicken is cooked. Sort of an old school way of doing it is you can cut the chicken open and see if it's pink. The problem with doing that is when you cut it open, all the juices flow out, and they end up with a dry piece of chicken, which no one wants. Okay, so here's our two pieces. I'm gonna pop these in the oven, and what we're gonna do is cook them for about 10 to 15 minutes. I'm gonna flip them about halfway, and that's gonna be that. So I'm gonna pop them in the oven over here on broil, and that's that. So I think now is a great time. If you guys have any questions, hopefully this was, a really simple quarantine recipe for y'all. And I actually have something special for you guys. So you know how I only use half the marinade, right? So what I want to do is show you guys another recipe using the same sort of marinade, but you guys are kind of getting double duty out of it, okay? So you cook the chicken, and then now let's say you want to make something else tomorrow night, right? So chicken's tonight, you want to make something else, kind of stretching out what you already have in the pantry, okay? So the only additional ingredient you need other than this, your basically half your marinade, is a can of coconut milk. So I came up with this dish last year. This was for the second round in the South. So I made an Indian green curry mac and cheese. So there's no cheese in it, but basically I kind of made this vegan mac dish. So what I'm gonna do is pour this coconut milk into the blender. We're gonna blend it one more time, and we're gonna cook it down a little bit on the stove. So I'm gonna put it on the stove, and then all you guys have to do is throw in some pasta, and you end up with a really great luscious sauce for some pasta. You can also even, if you guys are feeling really crazy, you can throw the chicken that you rebroil into the sauce and then serve that over rice. And it's sort of like a green curry that you guys can have at home. And it's really delicious, super simple to make, and it tastes really great too. So I'll show you guys how to make the sauce at home, and I'll show you guys how to finish it, okay? So what we're gonna do is pour coconut milk can in here. Get me close, there we go. So we're gonna basically pour the coconut milk in, blend everything up, and then we're gonna actually cook it down on the stove. And that's gonna kind of bring everything together. I think it's gonna overflow, y'all. Sorry, y'all, overflowed. So I think now is a great time for questions if you guys have any questions right now.
Oh, they have questions, Farhan. They have
questions.
Oh,
awesome. Cool. Let me blend this sauce and then I'll get it going, and then we'll take some questions. So super simple green curry sauce. There we go.
All right, just let me know when you're ready.
Cool. Can you guys see the saucepan back here? So I'm gonna turn it on medium heat. I'm gonna drop this in here, and we're gonna let that cook down. So basically it's gonna start thickening up, and the cashews and basically the coconut milk will start thickening the entire mixture up, and you end up with a really nice luscious sauce. I'll add the rest of this coconut milk in here. All right, I'm ready, guys, for questions.
All right. So what was the actual name of the dish again? Can you spell it out for us?
Yeah, it's called Malai chicken, so M-A-L-A-I. So Malai meaning cream. Traditionally, there is cream in this chicken. I substitute the cream for the cashews because we end up getting a similar amount of creaminess without the dairy.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm not a big dairy person personally, so for me, it was more of a chore because I usually kept the cilantro, the jalapenos, the lemons, and limes around the house, but I didn't necessarily have a whole carton of heavy cream sitting around. So for me, it was like, okay, hey, how can I substitute the heavy cream for something maybe a little bit more healthy, and still like get a similar result with it.
All right, thank you. And before I give you the next question, I just want to tell you that we are currently at 52 guests. We have
Wow, awesome.
staff, faculty, alumni, fans, friends. It's really popular. Thanks everyone for being here.
Yeah,
The
thank you
next
guys.
question is, can you substitute tofu?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I would use a firm tofu. So don't use silken, obviously, or don't use just regular tofu. I'll find a firm tofu. And I think there's even like a fried variety, which I think would be crazy in this. And so, yeah, it'll be really great. So you can basically do the same method, cut the tofu chunks up into pieces, marinate them overnight, and then we can, throw that into the broiler the same way. You can actually cook it less because tofu you don't really need to cook. You just want to basically brown the outsides and you're good. And then even with the sauce that we're making, the coconut curry, once that thickens up, you guys can just throw the tofu into that and you end up with a nice tofu curry.
Thank you, thank you. So if you're using fish, do you broil it in the same way?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think broiled fish is amazing because you don't end up with anything dry, like, anything overcooked, anything like that. I would just make sure the fish is skinless, because the skin won't get crispy in the broiler. You won't really be able to get that crisp factor with it. And with the way how wet the marinade is, even if you try to cook in the pan, with the wetness of the marinade, it just won't work.
Can you suggest which sides will complement this dish?
Yeah, so I mean, spinach would work great. I can definitely you can make this into tacos. Let's see what else. I mean, spinach, asparagus. You can really do anything. Potatoes, you can roast some potatoes in the oven. Honestly, sky's the limit with this. It's really, really simple and able to kind of blend into different things. Some black beans, rice, if you want to make it, the curry style, pretty much anything, honestly. I've had this over a salad, made it into tacos. And that's what's really great about the versatility of this. You can prep a whole bunch at the beginning of the week. You can have a salad on Monday, tacos on Tuesday. You can make something else. You can make the curry out of it on Wednesday. It keeps it's a nice camouflaging dish. You can kind of reuse it over and over.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. Along the same topic, you recommended asparagus. Should we put it in the same rack as the chicken or broil it separately?
I would broil it separately. And honestly, broiled asparagus is amazing. So basically, I'll pop the chicken in there first, let half of the chicken cook, flip it, and then pop the asparagus in there because asparagus won't take as long. And I'll just make sure to keep moving the chicken around or the asparagus around just so it doesn't burn. And then what I would do is, honestly, the asparagus is super simple. Just toss it in some salt or a little bit of oil before you cook it. Throw it in the broiler. Let it broil. Once it's nice and charred on some edges, take it out, sprinkle with salt, and squeeze some lime juice over it, and it's amazing.
About how long are we broiling the chicken again?
I would say 15-ish minutes max. So I would say 7 minutes per side. But you want to keep checking on it because everyone's broilers are a little different. Some broilers are a little stronger than others, so you want to just kind of keep an eye on it. Oh yeah, see, mine's cooking a little bit quicker, so I'm about to flip these in about 2 minutes, I'd say. And I'll bring the camera over so you guys can kind of see how it's working.
Awesome. How much cream should be substituted if you're using it in place of the nuts?
If you want to use, I would say like a 1/4 cup, nothing crazy.
I have before I even get to that question, I have a comment for you from D Moon. Since you have admitted to breaking the residence hall rules at Oxford and cooking in your dorm at Oxford, he wanted to let you know that it's so old now, the statute of limitations has passed and your record is now clear. Look on.
Well, I never got caught when I was there. That came out afterwards. I made sure I got the diploma in hand before I divulged my secret.
Not a crime if you don't get caught, right?
Exactly.
Where's our attorneys on the feed? All right. So a fun question for you. What was your favorite part about being on MasterChef?
Honestly, I think meeting Gordon Ramsay in real life, right? One of my favorite things to do with my friends while we're at Oxford was watching, his TV shows. Would find them on YouTube and would just, watch his TV shows. It was a kind of a full circle moment because, my friends and I always joked around about it. And then I ended up being on the show and getting to meet him one-on-one, which was pretty crazy. I wasn't expecting that to happen. So that was definitely the highlight. And I got yelled at by him, which was the best part. So, that made the whole experience worth it for sure.
Exactly. So I'm making sure I'm doing my plugs because we love Farhan and we want to make sure that we support him in every way. I do have a question. Someone wanted to confirm the address of your family's restaurant. See, they're picking up, Farhan, they're picking up. Is it 30 Caliber Street in Sewanee?
Yes, 32 Caliber Street, D107. Yep, Atlanta Halal Meat and Food. Since we're so new, we're probably not on all maps. So I'll use Google Maps or Apple Maps. You guys can check out our website. It's all the information's on there.
Which is ATL Halal, HALAL.com.
Yes, exactly.
That's also their Instagram handle, ATL Halal. So make sure you follow them on Instagram as well. Support our own.
So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you guys. We'll take a quick pause. So here's the sauce boiling right here. So you can see it's kind of thickening up a little bit. We're gonna let that do its thing, but it's also time to flip the chicken, okay? So here we go. I'll show you guys. Here's a pro move. Use your tongs to pull out the oven rack, okay? So you guys can see how it's nicely getting brown. You guys can see that? So about this stage is where you want to flip the chicken.
While you're in the broiler, this might be a good time to ask this question. Where should the oven rack be positioned? Under the broiler?
So I have it, here's the top, here's the second one, this is the third one down. So third from the top, that's what I have it at here. Cool.
Is the restaurant currently open for takeout or delivery?
Yes, so we don't have delivery. We don't work with the delivery apps. So one thing, I don't know if I'm gonna kind of go on a little soapbox rant. So delivery apps like Grubhub, Uber Eats, Postmates, all these guys, they're not really good for restaurants. It's great convenience wise, but if you guys have the option to call in and pick up your order, definitely do that. These delivery apps take a huge chunk out of the profits of the restaurant, upwards of 30%. So let's say you have, a $100 order, they're taking $30. And the thing is with the restaurants, your margins are already so thin that, these delivery apps, most of the time, the restaurant's either breaking even or probably even losing money on these orders. So if you guys have the option to do any sort of pickup, things like that, that's definitely the way to go when you're trying to support your local restaurants, especially during this time. So for those reasons, we haven't signed up on any of the delivery apps, just because for us, it's not a worthwhile situation. So just a plug there.
Farhan, is your broiler set on high or low?
My broiler is set currently on high. So let's say you have a thicker piece of fish, thicker piece of chicken. You can definitely do this on low and kind of take it nice and low and slow. And again, it's a great way to kind of, learn this technique yourself. I've done this so much. I'm very comfortable cooking it on high because I know exactly what to look out for. But again, if you're just starting out, try it on low and just keep an eye on it. Once you get a feel for how to cook the chicken, you end up with a really, you get a feel for how to cook it and how long to cook it for under your broiler. And because every oven's a little different, every broiler's a little different. If you have an electric or if you have a gas, it cooks a little different. So start on low and then you guys can adjust how you need to, for sure.
All right, keep the questions coming, guys. All this wonderful Oxford Emory talent, we're loving it. So comment, I'm sharing a comment. Did you know that the Columbia College student that had a restaurant in his room?
Yes, I heard about that.
He promoted as a round table and he made a pretty penny. So D Moon, I think that's for you, that students can be profitable in the dorms.
I know, I wish I thought of that when I was at Oxford, honestly, especially with our dining options back then. Now it's great. I was just there, you guys did a fantastic job with the new dining hall. And it's really cool to kind of see, the humble beginnings of where we once were and where everything is now. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna show you guys the sauce is basically done. I'm gonna show you guys how I'm gonna finish it, okay? So it's been simmering for a little bit here. You guys have seen it hasn't taken that long, as you guys saw. So basically, here it is. It's a nice viscous sauce. Basically, I brought it to a boil and then let it thicken up just a little bit. So that's from the cashews and also the coconut milk itself. I wish you guys could smell this. It smells awesome. So the way you're gonna finish it up, okay? So at this stage is about, where you want it to be before you add your pasta, okay? But before you add your pasta, you want to, since we cooked this down, you want to add a little splash of something citrusy. So I'm going to add a juice of another, I guess I'm going to put probably the whole lime in here because it's a very rich sauce with the coconut and the cashews. But this is going to end up being a really nice contrast to that. So it cuts through the richness and ends up being really nice. So let me show you guys how to do that really quick.
I don't know why you're doing that. For the people
Yes.
who are using fish, how many minutes to broil the fish, and do you flip that over as well?
Yeah, so fish is gonna be similar. I would say 5 to 7 minutes per side, depending on the thickness. If it's thicker, it'll go a little longer. But same idea as this chicken, which is, you want to cook it till it's done, basically. Fish is a little more, you can cook it a little less, so you want to be about 135 with fish. But yeah, so this lime was pretty juicy, so I only added the juice of half a lime in this, but that's it. So this is your finished sauce. So you guys will put this over pasta. You can add the chicken to this, put this over rice. I've actually even made this with chickpeas. So take a can of chickpeas, throw this sauce on top, saute it a little bit, and it turns out fantastic. So there's a little bonus recipe for you guys to make with this chicken. And it's really good. So I'm gonna stash this over here. And I think my chicken should be done now. So I'm gonna take that out for you guys. Oh yeah, here we go. All right. I'm gonna plate it up nice for y'all. All right, so this was, again, I think, 10 minutes in the oven. So you guys can see with the broiler, the chicken gets nice and charred around the edges while still remaining juicy on the inside. And that's really the key, is really the cooking technique, right? And again, the best part about this cooking technique is you don't have to do it with just this chicken. So you can, do like a lemon pepper marinade, a Cajun marinade. You can do any sort of marinade you want with this cut of chicken and using this technique, and you get very similar results. So it almost looks like, hey, I grilled this chicken outside and on the oven, but I didn't. And, it's really great, especially, when I was in Chicago, I didn't have the access to all these nice things, right? I didn't have a grill half the winter. It was, like a tundra outside. So I didn't really feel like going outside. And so really, guys, that's it. It's a super simple recipe. You have a really great marinade. I'll cut a slice of this chicken open so you guys can kind of see how juicy it is on the inside and how moist it is. So there you go. So super moist, super, you end up being really flavorful chicken, without too much effort, honestly. So yeah, guys, any questions? I think this is a great time.
Can you tell us a little bit about how we would do the asparagus?
Yeah, so basically same idea. Just grab another bowl, throw the asparagus in it, toss in a little oil, have the oven. So when you first flip the chicken over, throw the asparagus right next to it and let it broil. Just keep moving it around. Take it out, and then what you're gonna do is throw in some salt and some lime juice, and that's it. And the way you can serve the chicken, obviously now it's cooked, you guys can just chop it up into those squares. You guys can leave it whole. You guys can make tacos out of it. I've done tacos with this and it turns out really great. So there you go. So you cut into little pieces, cubes, great for tacos, great for entertaining.
All right. I think everyone's cooking, flipping, and getting their chicken out because they're pretty quiet right now. I think they're focused.
Oh yeah. All right, cool.
All right, we have a question.
Yes.
How is it to be mentored by Aaron Sanchez? I just
Oh,
watched
it was.
Master Chef season 9, and you are amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, it was awesome. It was a really cool experience, for sure. Aaron is really cool because he has a very similar story, as I did growing up. Coming from immigrant family, first generation, and he really was trying to make something out of himself. And his mom's actually a chef as well. So again, similar to my parents, my dad's a chef. We've been in the food industry basically my entire life. So I grew up with it, and it's something that is very ingrained in me from a young age. And you know what? We can do a little taste test. I'm gonna have my mom come over. Mom,
Cool.
she's gonna taste it off camera, but she's gonna tell us how she likes it. Just stand right here, Mom. Since I can't taste it, she's gonna be our taste tester. But she's not gonna be on camera, so we're just gonna record her reaction. Okay. All right, here, Mom. She's nodding her head. She says, "Really good."
It's not spicy, but it's good.
Yeah, she says not spicy, but it's good. It's flavorful. So that's the whole idea.
Farhan, oh, this is a great question. When you're not supporting your family business, which I'm sure is your favorite restaurant, what is your favorite place to eat in Atlanta?
Let's see, man, that's a hard question. I love Bocado. Bocado's burger is probably my favorite burger in America. Their Bocado double stack is amazing. Um, I love Desta's Ethiopian, which is actually right in Decatur by main campus. It's really good. I love that place. There's a Pakistani restaurant called Moguls out in Gwinnett, which is amazing also. It's really, we've been going there for like 20 plus years. And they have a chicken roll. Ask for the chicken, what is it called, Mom? It's like the chicken roll. Just call it the chicken roll and they'll know what you're talking about. Okay, so it's I think it's called the chicken katakat roll. I'll type it in the chat so you guys know. But this wrap is like amazing. It's super good. Any other questions, y'all? I think everyone's kind of busy cooking right now.
And then your last minute questions, guys. But I have one because I tend to sometimes overdo when I'm cooking. So
Yeah.
not just specifically for this recipe, but if you over salt, how can you cut that?
Yeah, so two things you can do with over salt: add some acid, so add some more lime juice or lemon juice. Also, you can just up the quantity, right? So if you have too much of one thing, add a little bit more of everything else. In this recipe, if it was a little too salty or something, I would add more cilantro to it just to kind of increase the amount of marinade. Maybe add a little more of the cashews, things like that, just to increase the amount of the marinade. And then that's how you can, kind of offset the salt a little bit.
Okay. And I think, like myself, everyone didn't catch the name of the restaurants that you said. Can you?
Yeah, so I can type it into the chat. Let me do that.
Awesome.
That'll probably be a little easier. Yeah.
And then we have a comment that just says, "Thank you so much."
Oh yeah, of course. Let's see. Here we go. So Moguls. Let's see. Just.
Oh, and while you're doing that, we've talked about Top Chef. We've given out his IG in case you didn't get it at Farmo, Farmo, your family's restaurant, Atlanta Halal. But if we need to see a great dentist like yourself, where can we go and visit you?
So my office is in Dallas, Georgia. It's called Pickett's Mill Dental Care. Right now, we are only seeing emergencies because obviously of all the stuff going on, but we're hoping to open back up mid-May. But yeah, we're doing teledentistry. So worst case, if you guys have some pain, you guys can sign up and I'll basically do this. I'll virtually call you about your tooth problems and then we'll kind of sort it out together.
Thank you. Multi-talented. Thank you, Farhan.
Yeah. So there's the question, if I'm baking bone-in chicken, how long do we need to put in the oven for? So for bone-in, I would say depending on how you're cooking it or what piece it is, I would instead of broiling it, I would bake it. I would bake it around 350 for, let's say, 35 to 40 minutes and then check it. If you feel like the top is getting too brown for you, loosely put a little piece of foil on top and continue cooking it until you get to 165 degrees inside. Here's our chicken again, nicely made.
So Farhan, before Tammy jumps in to do the closing, do you have anything that you want to say to the people?
Yeah, so thank you guys so much for coming out, taking time out of your day to come in and join me on this call. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned a couple things, a new recipe or two. And really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your probably crazy schedules with all the stuff going on to join me with this. It's a really great recipe for y'all. And you can follow me on Instagram at Pharma. You can support my family's restaurant at Atlanta Halal Meat. The website is atlhalal.com. You guys can find more information there. And yeah, and thank you to you guys for inviting me out to do this. This is really great. I had a really good time. This is really my passion outside of dentistry. So we really appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much, Farhan, for a wonderful evening and the opportunity to cook with you. I hope everyone is enjoying their meal right now. I'm looking forward to cooking mine a little bit later, along with probably Mika and Lynn and Matt. We appreciate all of you for being here and taking time to learn from a master chef. It's amazing to see you in action. Just seems like yesterday you were a student at Oxford, walking the campus and I don't know, doing what you do best, and that's just being wonderful. In this time when we're all social distancing, it's good for us to have this time together. Another opportunity to get together is our next week when we have our children's book reading with Brianna McDaniel, just a little bit older than Farhan, 09 Oxford and 11 College for Brianna. And that's Tuesday, May 5th at 12:15 Eastern Time. And once again, just a thank you, Farhan. Thank you so much. And we look forward to learning more from you in the future.
For sure. Thank you guys again so much.